Colorado positions itself as a safe haven for abortion access. A key claim about what the law does and does not do. The man accused of starting a wildfire that burned more than 100 homes walks free. Now the question is whether he can stay in the country. A big-time music festival is leaving the county that wouldn't let it bend the rules during the pandemic. And if you want it in your obituary, you got to get it done when you're alive, which is why she's applying for a non-traditional job at the age of 65.
I came up with the idea of trying out to be a Bronco cheerleader, and I thought that'd be a great thing to add to my obituary.
Let's go to a job interview alongside a very experienced candidate. Next. A landmark law signed today does not change the law, yet it's prompted a fierce fight and some misleading claims. Democratic Governor Jared Polis has signed the bill to put abortion rights into Colorado law. It doesn't change abortion access today, but if the Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade, it would make Colorado one of the few states in this part of the country to protect abortion rights. Here's Marshall Zellinger.
No matter what the Supreme Court does in the future, women in Colorado will be able to choose when and if they have children.
The abortion rights bill that led to the equivalent of 3 days of debate at the state capitol is now law. Said another way, the abortion rights that already existed in Colorado still exist. They're just now in state statute. During debate, opponents of the bill focused on how it might impact a different area of Colorado law, the part that requires a parent to be notified of a minor's abortion at least 48 hours before it happens.
The parental notification provisions.
Called the Colorado Parental Notification Act.
It will gut, in its current form, our current parental notification requirements.
There's absolutely nothing in this law that will impede a parent's ability to be notified of their child's decision.
Kiki Counsel is a reproductive rights attorney who stood behind the governor as he signed the new law that deals with abortion access, not notification.
The laws have nothing to do with each other. Parental involvement is not government involvement. Parental interference is not government interference.
The governor did not just sign the bill into law, he also added what's known as a signing statement. It's often used to describe why the bill was signed and what he still doesn't like about it. An hour before the bill signing, Democratic State Senator Julie Gonzalez heard he was including a signing statement and told me she was salty when she directed some of her comments at the governor.
No disrespect to you, Governor, but this bill is a perfect example of why the founders vested the power of the government, drawn from the people, into the legislative branch, the people's branch.
It turns out the signing statement he released was not critical. It did say this bill does not make any changes to the current legal framework for parental notification that exists in state law.
Some states like Louisiana, Texas, Michigan even have both parental notification and parental consent. Colorado only has parental notification.
And it is still required in Colorado for a minor's parent to be notified 48 hours before an abortion happens. But there is no law allowing the parent to prevent that from happening. That's partially what the bill signed into law today does. It keeps that right available. Now, Kyle, both Senator Gonzalez and I heard prior to the bill signing that there was going to be a signing statement, which indicates he's not happy with something. And you could tell from her statements that she was told something critical was coming. And then this statement that basically said, here's what the bill does and doesn't do, is not what a signing statement generally is used for.
Yeah,
something changed.
Usually that's when the governor will get in there and try to kind of like lean the court in one way of interpreting things or lean policymakers in a certain way. But Polis backed off in the end.
In the past, it has said, I'm signing this bill, but this is a gap, and I'd like law. And lawmakers are already working on a fix to this. It didn't say any of that, which makes it curious to me why there was a signing statement at all.
Marshall, thank you. So just as we saw with Colorado's red flag gun law, Republicans who have not had the votes in the legislature to stop Democrats' priorities have gone to the county level to make some symbolic rejections of the new law. So on the issue of abortion, take Park County, where their lone clinic does not offer abortions. But the county commissioners will still vote tomorrow on making the county a sanctuary for the protection of life. Here's Steve Stager.
A little less than 24 hours before Park County commissioners are set to meet for their regular board meeting, Democratic Governor Jared Polis signed the law that could make one of their agenda items moot. A proclamation first on the agenda Tuesday to declare Park County a sanctuary county for the protection of life. Reading in part, quote, "This board declares that innocent human life, including life from conception, must always be protected and that society must protect those who cannot protect themselves." It was proposed by only one of the 3 Republican commissioners on the county board, Commissioner Amy Mitchell.
Commissioner Mitchell feels passionately that we need to try to stop all abortions in Park County, and this was her. We're going to try to make us a sanctuary county, which of course we can't do as county commissioners. That's not in our area.
County Board Chair Dick Elsner told me he was planning on voting against the proclamation.
She has this desire to do this and just won't take no for an answer, but I've got a feeling that it's going to be no.
The other commissioner, Ray Douglas, told me he's a no vote as well. Commissioner Mitchell wasn't available for an on-camera interview today, but told me the purpose of her proclamation was simply a statement about the county's values, not an effort to create any sort of enforceable law. I think part of our duties to protect the health and welfare of all lives in the county, she told me by phone today.
That's not something we can do, and it's not something I would want to do.
Supporters of Colorado's new abortion protection law say the law that was signed today is pretty clear.
That's the main reason we knew we had to move quickly on this bill this year, because if Roe falls in June, we want to make sure that the counties cannot say that you cannot access abortion in their county legally.
For Next, I'm Steve Stager.
Today, there's been action at the state capitol on an issue that we have discussed here a couple of times. Mental health counselors in our state have been asked to pay back Medicaid's own billing errors. We saw some of them with bills nearing $20,000. Providers told us they wanted to keep seeing Medicaid patients, but they couldn't function with their businesses like that. The reimbursement requests were pulled after we in the Colorado Sun reported on them. A bill limiting how far Medicaid can go back to recoup money from providers passed its first committee vote at the legislature today. The man accused of starting one of the most destructive wildfires in Colorado history walked out of a mental hospital today, having never been found competent to stand trial for the fire. He's in the country without proper authorization, so his future is now up to immigration agents. A judge in Costilla County dropped charges against Jesper Jorgensen, who was accused of starting the spring fire in southern Colorado in 2018. It burned more than 108,000 acres near Fort Garland and Levada. More than 140 homes were destroyed as well. Jorgensen, who's from Denmark, was arrested the day after the fire started. According to court documents, he said he was using a fire pit, thought it was out, went to sleep, and the next day saw the fire had spread to nearby brush. Jorgensen has been repeatedly found incompetent to stand trial over the last few years. The judge said today that he hoped that Immigration and Customs Enforcement would deport Jorgensen. ICE told us today they're still gathering information about the case. So Colorado has hit a significant and really encouraging pandemic milestone. Fewer than 100 people diagnosed with COVID are in Colorado's hospitals right now. We have not seen a total that low since the first week that Colorado started keeping track back in March of 2020. And it means that our state's ICU bed capacity is in really good shape as well. You see the way the graph bends downward at the right, indicating more capacity. 81% of ICU beds occupied last week, so there are 274 empty. Colorado's test positivity rate for COVID has stayed at a low and manageable level now for a couple of months. 2.9% of COVID tests have come back positive over the last 7 days. My thanks to you tonight for raising just shy of $50,000 to support Animal Friends Alliance, an animal shelter that guarantees adoption, so they often are accepting transfers of pets that face euthanasia elsewhere. Your word of thanks donations are going to go a long way as that nonprofit expands its work in northern Colorado. So, idea time. Where should we all help next? Send suggestions of wonderful nonprofits in your community to next@9news.com. I read every single email that comes in there. Your weekly microgiving has become a powerful force for good in our state. Giving a little adds up when so many people participate. You've raised $8.8 million for Colorado's nonprofits. So let's talk about where we can help in your neighborhood next. A massive country music festival is leaving the county that wouldn't let it flaunt public health rules last year. Led to this all-time exchange with the county leader.
What the hell, Jim?
And Colorado auctioning off weed-themed license plates is how I learned today that if you want to turn your vehicle into a rolling billboard for alcohol or drugs, the state is cool with that. Next. One of the most influential figures in Colorado high school sports history has passed away. Tom Robinson was the first African-American administrator in the history of CHSA. He was a graduate of Regis Jesuit, played football, basketball, and ran track and field at CSU. He became a CHSA assistant commissioner in 2001 and retired just a few months ago. CHSA said that he died this morning after a short battle with multiple illnesses. Tom Robinson is survived by his wife, the well-known choreographer, Cleo Parker Robinson. Chaffee County leaders refused to let a big business push them around, and now they're paying for it. The Seven Peaks Music Festival is moving out of Buena Vista. Country music star Dierks Bentley and concert promoter Live Nation announced today that the 2022 version of their summer music festival is headed down the road to Villa Grove, an unincorporated area of Saguache County, about 45 miles southwest of Buena Vista. BV had the festival in 2018 and in 2019. The festival was canceled in 2020 due to the pandemic. Then last year, things got crazy. Chaffee County was going to cap attendance at the festival at 5,000 people, but Live Nation was like, yeah, whatever.
How many tickets have you sold so far?
A little over 6,000, 1,300 local, 1,300 inches.
6,000? Are you me? You know we have a 5,000 person event capacity, and you've already sold more tickets than that?
Yes.
What the hell, Jim?
That was Chaffee County Commissioner Greg Felt off the top rope. We reached out to Saguache County to ask how things are going with Live Nation's permit. Might make open meetings worth going to down there. Didn't hear back from Saguache.
Sunshine and 60s today, but now the clouds are increasing and the cool air will follow tomorrow. Our high 65 tomorrow will be in the 50s, but the big story will be the wind. And we might have a little snow in the Colorado high country with a winter weather advisory. The winds will pick up during the afternoon and could blow 50 to 60 miles per hour, along with an isolated rain shower tomorrow. High wind watch for Denver with wind gusts to 60, but the high wind warning covers Wyoming and the Front Range foothills with gusts to 80. Batten down the hatches, and if you're headed into the high country, areas of blowing snow may be an issue. A little calmer and cooler Wednesday, a little warmer Thursday. How about sunshine and 70s for next weekend?
So Colorado's going to auction off marijuana-themed novelty license plates for charity. You apparently can put it on your plate, you just can't put it in your body before you drive. Same rule goes for alcohol-themed license plates. I had no idea the state would allow you to promote booze on your license plate or cannabis. But hey, we learn something new every day around here. The cannabis plates up for auction include 420, weed, edible, dabbing, blunt, got hemp, whole bunch of them. Bidding's online now and it will stay open naturally until 4:20 p.m. on Wednesday, April 20th. Proceeds for the auction benefit the Colorado Disability Funding Committee. There was a similar one of these auctions in 2021 that raised more than $45,000. Buyer gets the right to then pay for the plate, and they'll be able to resell those rights in the future. I was really convinced that both marijuana and alcohol-themed novelty plates were not allowed in Colorado. DMV told us today that is not true. They said that they will only reject a personalized plate if they deem it to be offensive, misleading, or duplicates of existing plates. She wanted to spice up her obituary, while she's living. So, at the age of 65, she's trying out to be a Broncos cheerleader.
I want people to know that young or old, go out and do it. Just give it a try.
We'll go to the tryout next. Life is as interesting as you make it. Diane Reitz decided that she wanted to create another story worth retelling. She said she hadn't been a cheerleader since back in the Pony Football League days in Olean, New York in 1969. But she saw the Broncos were holding tryouts, so.
Oh, this is my number. I was number 161. Both my husband and I are huge Bronco fans ever since we moved here in 1982. Just always cheering them on. Yeah, it's always been from the stands. Literally now. I tried out to be a Denver Bronco cheerleader at the age of 64, almost 65. I turned 65 next week. On my application, I told them how old I was and that I had no expectation of being a cheerleader. I'm not a threat to anybody, to any of the other participants. How this all started, some family members of mine and I have this thing about our obituaries, and we were trying to make them interesting. I came up with the idea of trying out to be a Bronco cheerleader, and I thought that'd be a great thing to add to my obituary, which I'm sure many people think is very weird. No, my family and I don't see it that way. No, we're weird. The girls were so nice. They offered to help me learn the routine, which was kind of useless, but they were able to teach me a few seconds of it. But you've seen the video, you know I can't dance. I did the first 3 or 5 seconds, and then I just winged it. I just did twirls and moving my arms and just kicks. And I want people to know that, young or old, go out and do it. Just give it a try. Do something that you've wanted to do, or that just comes to your mind, and hey, that might be cool to try. Go ahead, why not?
Simple advice, do something you want to do. Diane told us she does not expect to hear back about being a cheerleader, but she is open to any opportunities to support her Broncos. We're getting some feedback about a famous statue in town. On Friday, Marshall did a story on a statue of General Maurice Rose. If you're not familiar, he was raised in Denver, went to East High School. He went on to become one of the most important figures in World War II. He was a highly successful tank commander. A bronze statue of General Rose is going up in Lincoln Veterans Memorial Park across from the state capitol. It's being sculpted by George Lundeen in Loveland. Marshall mentioned that Lundeen was the man behind the Player statue outside Coors Field. It's called The Player. And Marshall was saying that he thought it was just made in the mold of a generic baseball player. It's not supposed to be anybody specific. A few of you wrote in to say you're convinced it is Branch Rickey. He was a baseball player and then later a sports executive. He's best known for helping break baseball's color barrier when he signed Jackie Robinson when Branch Rickey was the GM of the Brooklyn Dodgers. So the truth is kind of in the middle here. The statue is not of any player in particular. It is not Branch Rickey. But it was placed there by the Rotary Club of Denver in honor of its Branch Rickey Award. That award from Rotary honors various MLB players for community service. And the statue outside Coors mirrors the design on the award that's given to the winners. It's a sign about which drugs are or are not available inside a business. Plus your feedback next. It's a sign that people looking to take a trip have come to this business, and it is not a travel agency. We spotted the sign outside Lion's Mane, 5 Points recently. Sign says, "We don't sell psilocybin mushrooms," all caps. The store does sell equipment for growing fungi, and as we both know, they wouldn't put up a sign if people weren't coming in looking for shrooms. Psilocybin mushrooms were decriminalized in the city back in 2019. It means that it's legal for you to have them, but it's still illegal to sell them. There's discussion now about legalizing them for therapy and medicinal use through a ballot initiative. Send us the signs that must have a backstory next at 9news.com. Feedback via text tonight with a question about COVID-19 positivity numbers. How do positivity numbers have any significance because of all the tests being done at home? What CDPHE has told us on this is that those numbers have always tracked. They've never seen an unexplained spike that they think is attributable to people testing at home as opposed to the public ones. JD says they still track the number. Get over it, Kyle. JD, it's cool if we report good news too, right? The COVID numbers these days are great news. See you next time.